Welcome to the Executive Eye by DRI, your lens into the world of executive leadership. Here, we bring you sharp insights, clear perspectives, and focused discussions on the trends shaping the future of business. Join us as we explore what's in view for today's leaders and tomorrow's innovators.
Welcome to the Executive Eye by DRI, the show where we sit down with today's most influential leaders to explore stories, strategies, and innovations shaping the future of business. I'm your host, Tom Clark, partner and supply chain and logistics practice leader at DRI. And today, we're joined by a true pioneer in the logistics and supply chain space, Mike Jarrett, founder, president, and CEO of Jarrett Logistics Systems. Mike launched Jarrett back in 1999 with a bold vision to become a market leader by delivering world-class service through exceptional people and cutting-edge technology. His leadership, Jarrett has grown into a nationally recognized logistics provider that's redefining the future of supply chain management. Prior to founding Jarrett, Mike held senior leadership roles with Caliber Logistics, now known as FedEx Supply Chain Services, and began his career with Roadway Express. He's a recipient of the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award and serves on multiple nonprofit and educational boards, including the University of Mount Union, where he earned his undergraduate degree. I think played some football. He also holds an MBA from the University of Akron. Today, we'll take a deep dive into Mike's journey from the 90s freight world to becoming a future-focused logistics powerhouse. We'll explore technology trends, customer challenges, leadership lessons, and what the road ahead looks like for the supply chain industry. Let's start by setting the stage and helping our audience get to know you, Mike, and your journey. We've talked many times. We've done these types of interviews many times, virtually and in person. But for those who may not be familiar with you, can you tell me a little bit about the early days of Mike Jarrett's career?
Well, thank you, Tom. And I'm excited to be part of this podcast today for sure. So yeah, you covered my background a little bit, but right out of college, my first job was at Roadway Express. And that's really where I cut my teeth on the LTL space and trucking in general. As you probably remember, back in the mid to late 80s, Roadway was a leader in the LTL space. So I really learned a lot from that experience. I spent about 3 years at Roadway and then decided to go back to school. So went to grad school for about a year and a half, and then came back to Roadway. And my second tour at Roadway was at Roadway Logistics. And for those in the audience today, and I'm sure you remember Roadway Logistics as Rolls, right, Tom? And that eventually then became Caliber Logistics in the early 90s. And then was eventually bought by FedEx. So we became FedEx Supply Chain Services around 95. So really, until starting Jarrett Logistics in 99, my career had been at Roadway and then Caliber and FedEx Supply Chain before launching Jarrett Logistics.
So I'm sure many of those early experiences kind of set the stage for what you wanted Jarrett to become. But you have something, the Jarrett difference. So what is the Jarrett difference? What makes your company stand out in this crowded space?
Yeah, it's definitely a crowded space. The Jarrett difference, Tom, is our people. And my vision when I started Jarrett in 99 was to establish a company that was people first and tech enabled. And as a 3PL, I think that you start with your people, you build a culture around your people, and you make heavy investments into your people and technology. And so that's really the Jarrett difference. And what really makes us stand out, what makes us different, and I get asked this a lot, customer meetings as well as prospect sales meetings, what differentiates Jarrett Logistics from the competition? And it's really about our responsiveness and our execution. Our responsiveness to dealing with supply chain issues for our customers and our ability to execute supply chain solutions is second to none. And really, it comes back to our culture. And I think culture drives positive behaviors. Those positive behaviors drive positive outcomes. Our responsiveness is really tied to our ability to do fundamental things that are foundational in nature. For example, we answer the phone. I know that sounds like it's crazy that we would literally answer the phone, but we do. And we not only answer it, but we answer it in 3 rings or less. We also respond to emails in 10 minutes or less. We don't, I don't know any any person out there, supply chain leader, who doesn't want a responsive 3PL that they're working with. And that's something that sets us apart. And then our ability to execute supply chain solutions. We do it using technology. We do it using advanced analytics, visibility. Those are the things that set us apart from our competition. But at the end of the day, it's about our culture. You have a culture that's great when your positive behaviors are ingrained. You don't have to keep reminding people about what they need to do to be responsive to our customers or to execute at a high level. It's ingrained into our culture and it happens. That's when you know that culture drives positive change.
Thank you, Mike. You mentioned a lot of things there. Technology, we want to get to and talk a little bit more. But and I've experienced your culture, obviously being in your offices and partnering with you guys, and many of the things that you covered there. But I really want to ask kind of a specific question about core values. We have core values in our organization, and you have core values in yours. And when you talk about people and them consistently demonstrating those, so can you walk us through your core values and how not certainly influence who you attract and who you ultimately welcome into the Jarrett family, but how do they influence your business decisions?
They influence our decisions, my decisions heavily. I think, Tom, one of the most important jobs of a CEO is to establish purpose and values and then put processes in place and people in place to advance those purpose and values. And we established our purpose and our values 20 plus years ago, and it really drives all of our key strategic decisions. We have a value statement and we have 8 core values that we put in front of our employees every chance we get. I do town halls twice a year. We do executive leadership meetings throughout the year, and I'm putting those core values in front of our people every chance I get. I want to keep reminding our people what our purpose and values are all about. I think at the end of the day, you want to, as a leader of an organization, you want to make sure that if you first need to establish your purpose and values, and then you need to put processes and people in place to advance those core values, because that is what your company is all about. You do that, the goals remain laser focused. They no longer become muddy, unclear. Your goals are tied back to what your purpose and values are all about, and it remains clear for those in the organization what's most important. For us, our purpose is our people. Again, being a people-first organization, our decisions that we make are all tied back to how do we advance our purpose and our values. And when we talk about people as being our purpose, we want to look at ways to provide our people with opportunities to grow personally and professionally. So those decisions we're making are all tied back to how do we give opportunities for our people to grow personally and professionally. It's not, most companies will look at it from a bottom line first. What we do is we look at it from inside first, our people first. And what is amazing is that drives our outcomes. If you think about your people first, the outcomes, such as a positive bottom line, will take care of themselves.
Awesome. Where do you focus most, and why do those areas matter? Either right now or consistently all the time for the duration?
There's 3 main areas that I focus the most of my time toward, Tom. And first, no surprise here, people and culture. I think that is so important. As Tom Collins said in Good to Great, you got to have the right people in the right seats on the bus. And I think that by having the right people in the right positions who are servant leaders, who know they're part of something bigger than themselves, put their team before themselves, care about the team. That's the type of people we want in leadership positions in our organization. So, number one, I spend a lot of time making sure we have the right people in the right positions that fit with our culture and fit with who we are as an organization. Number two, I spend a lot of time in technology. I think technology is going all the way back to 1999 when we started. Technology has been a very important part of our company. We make significant technology investments. What's really cool about the investments we make is when we invest in new technology, we're investing for all of our customers. Our TMS platform is called JShip. We make investments in that platform year after year after year. And those investments, then those changes, those positive changes are now available to all of our customers. And we want to stay on the forefront of that. And then the third piece that I spend a lot of time in is sales. I think that new business is the lifeblood of our organization. We provide world-class service to our customers. So customer attrition is very infrequent. It's very low. What we want to do is we want to keep growing the business with new customers to add on top of the existing customers. So spend a lot of time doing that. So those are the three areas that I'm spending a lot of time on. And I think it's well worth my time to do that.
Mike, thank you. I want to envision. Take me back to 1999 and assume that people is probably you and your wife and maybe in the basement of the Jarrett house. So take me back to that and give me just an image of that. I mean, you look the same, I'm sure, no difference. And obviously your wife.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take me back. Give me a little bit of visual of what that looked like. And then kind of give me a visual of the team today, because obviously it's grown significantly. And I'm sure it's grown even more since the last time I was in Orville.
Well, going back to 99, I left FedEx Supply Chain and we had no employees, we had no customers. So of course we had no revenue. And we did it the old fashioned way, Tom. We bootstrapped it, which is another way of saying we maxed out our credit cards and got a line of credit on our house to start Jarrett Logistics. It was a tough road to go. It really was. It was a school of hard knocks. Most businesses, as we know, don't survive in the first 5 years. We had our ups and downs. We had to dig ourselves out of a hole, and we didn't have a lot of capital to do that. We rented a small office here in Orville. It cost us $600 a month, and I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get $600 a month to pay that rent. And so that's how we started. And I believe wholeheartedly that I think every founder puts a unique footprint on their business that they found. And, it's no different for me. What I learned through that process by not going with private equity, not going with, outside capital, angel investors, what I learned from bootstrapping it was people make the difference. And so that unique footprint from our founding back in 99 really is tied back to how we started the company. And what it's created, what's evolved into, Tom, is a fundamentally, foundationally strong organization that's built brick by brick the right way. That's how we started. We grew quickly, but not too fast to where we cut corners. We do things the right way. We dug ourselves into a hole early on with taking on debt, but I'm proud to say that we've been debt-free for many years now. It's very unusual for a company of our size and our longevity to have no debt and to be able to grow at the pace that we've been able to grow at, particularly over the last 5 to 7 years. Just couldn't be more proud of our team and what we've been able to accomplish and doing it the right way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How, looking back, I'm going to kind of shift into the technology a little bit. Looking back in 1999, and we talked about the growth of the company and the people and the team and doing it the right way. But did you envision the logistics industry evolving into what it is today, 26 years later?
Yeah, obviously I didn't have a crystal ball. I would say yes and no. If you remember back in 99, the late 90s was the dot-com bust. And we were right on the cusp of implementing technology solutions for our customers when I was at FedEx Supply Chain. And what I learned there is just invaluable, what I learned at Caliber and FedEx. Because, FedEx to this day is a technology leader. And so I was just so fortunate to be a young manager at FedEx to learn about how technology is becoming more and more important in the supply chain. What the barrier though at that point in 99 was, I think we had 1G for our internet access. And so the complex transactions that we were trying to process through the internet and through the use of technology was not working. It was too much. There wasn't enough bandwidth in order to be able to make that technology work. So I knew down the road technology was going to continue to play an important part in supply chain, but the barriers in 99 were there. There wasn't the bandwidth. I mean, we were running off of mainframe computers. We didn't have a cloud network like we have today. We didn't have 5G like we have today. So my vision for Jarrett Logistics was to establish an organization built on culture and then use technology in a way to make us more efficient, improve the customer experience, improve visibility. The issues we have today in the 3PL space are no different than the issues we had in the 90s. But forward-thinking visionary 3PLs are using technology to make that customer experience better, to improve visibility, to improve the shipment execution for the customer. Those are things, that's why some 3PLs are thriving and some are not.
Yeah, we mentioned FedEx a couple times, and obviously with the recent passing of Fred Smith, I think about the formation of FedEx and the airplanes and the commercials, that if it absolutely has to be there the next morning, and really all the things that FedEx was. And then I think to the things you shared about the answering the phone and doing the little things right. And if you're not doing the little things and getting back to your customers in a timely manner and everything. Just wanted to call that out, what I heard there a little bit. The technology and innovation. Again, I asked you to take me back to 99 and the crystal ball. And again, I don't know if you found that crystal ball over the last 26 years. I'm thinking probably not. But today we sit, how important has technology and innovation been in building Jarrett over the last 2.5+ decades?
Well, it's been huge for us. And we want to get really sticky with our customers. And one way we do that is integrating with our customers using technology. We recently partnered with a technology startup in the logistics space called OneLogTech. And for those in the audience today, they may know the name JP Wiggins. He's the founder of OneLogTech. He was one of the founders of Glog. Glog back in the day was a TMS platform built on the cloud. It now is really the driver behind Oracle Transportation Management, or OTM. That's how impactful Glog has been. Well, JP Wiggins is fantastic. He's brilliant. So we actually made an equity investment into OneLogTech. We're so impressed with its solution. And we created a brand called Jarrett Link. And Link is capitalized and it's spelled LINC. That stands for Logistics Integration No Code. And I'm telling you, Tom, what JP has created and what he's building at OneLogTech is revolutionary for integration. And when we talk about integration as a 3PL, we want to integrate with our customers through their ERP. And then we want to integrate with our carriers in order to get visibility for shipment information. When you do that, and you're able to do that with no code, now we have a leg up on our competition. Because one of the biggest issues with integration is not the willingness to do it, it's the resources to do it. It seems like the bigger the customer, the less resources on the technology side the customer has. And we hear this all the time from our very large customers. And these are Fortune 500 size companies. they will say, hey, we want to integrate, but we don't have the IT resources to do it. This Jarrett Link process for integration eliminates that need for developer time to integrate. I'm really excited about it. It's going to take us to the next level with regards to integration. That's one example of where technology can improve throughput, improve efficiency, increase visibility. Those are three things that all of our customers want.
That's awesome. So you've got great people. You hire at the core of the people. You train and you develop them. You've got cutting edge technology. It sounds like everything should be seamless and perfect, but it feels like 2025 was going to say, hold on, supply chain industry, watch this. I got some really exciting challenges for you from your seat, from your perspective. Tell me a little bit about how you guys have navigated, or how you've helped your customers navigate some of these challenges 2025 as we sit on August 1st.
Well, it's all about innovation, Tom. And trust me, there's no shortage of challenges in the supply chain sitting here in 2025. I could go right through the list of almost every single mode is dealing with challenges. I'll start with LTL. LTL, we're going through, we just started on July 19, the most sweeping changes ever in the NMFC classification in LTL that the industry's ever seen. That's a significant challenge for our customers, for any shippers out there that are shipping LTL. Let's take international. My goodness, these tariffs, the on again, off again tariffs, have created a tremendous challenge with planning, both on the international side as well as domestic supply chain. If we look at truckload, my oh my, truckload spot market rates are still near rock bottom. They have not bounced back. And, I think it's tied back to the uncertainty with these tariffs. Manufacturing and the industrial side, which is really the bread and butter for truckload, has been down, and it remains down. Truckload is still in an overcapacity situation, which drives down spot market rates. Parcel, oh my goodness. I don't know if you just saw that UPS's financials came out. Second quarter numbers, they're down 9% in profitability. And, they fired Amazon as their customer because it was low margin business. But, that was a $10 billion customer for UPS. So I think Amazon's influence as a disruptor in the parcel space will continue. So another challenge, in this case, in the parcel side of the business. Theft and fraud, it's at all-time highs now. The crooks are using technology to get smarter in how they can continue their theft and fraud situation. So as a 3PL, we have to put processes in place to not allow that to happen. And we've done that. So a number of challenges in the industry today. I think innovation is at the heart of how you deal with these challenges in order to continue to service your customers at a world-class level.
I think every one of those topics you talked about, you could spend a whole segment, a whole session on. And I feel like I got something on my calendar next week. Anything going on in the Midwest next week where those topics are going to come up?
Great segue, Tom. We have the third annual Jarrett Supply Chain Summit taking place on August 7th. It's going to be at the Kent State University Stark campus in North Canton, Ohio. I'll tell you, this is going to be the best one yet. We have a large attendance. We have a number of experts in supply chain that will be speaking. We have panelists. I mean, really, it's really from beginning to end. It's going to be an amazing event. Our keynote speaker is Zach Cass. He may not be a household name, but the company that he helped co-found certainly is. He was one of the co-founders of OpenAI, which is, of course, the AI tool that they created was ChatGPT. So he's got a lot to talk about with regards to technology and AI. It's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and it's been amazing to watch the growth of the conference over the last 3 years. It's looking like on a similar trajectory as the growth of the Jarrett logistics team. So I agree. I think it's going to be the best one yet, and excited to see you again next week and dig into every one of those topics. There's challenges that you talked about, and you've got experts coming in and really, industry leaders to talk about it that have the most insight and some of the leading perspectives on it. So going to be a really good event. Excited for that. Again, we could dig into so much on technology and things and visibility, but we talked about challenges. But what's going well right now in the supply chain transportation space? Lots of challenges, but from your perspective, what's going well right now?
I think that technology continues to expand. Let's talk about AI for a moment. There's different viewpoints on where AI can make the most impact in the 3PL space. I think what's really going well for us with regards to AI is how we're deploying it. We are using AI extensively, and we're using it in order for us to handle a lot of what I would call back office activities, routine, repeatable processes that allow our team to spend more time engaging with the customer. A lot of our competition is using AI and chatbots to replace that human interaction. I don't agree with that. I really don't. I think that at the end of the day, supply chain is a relationship business. And I think when customers have real problems in their supply chain, they need to speak to someone to get those problems resolved. The last thing I want to do is insert a chatbot between us and our customer. I get enough of that already, Tom, when I try to reach out to my bank or my cable company or my internet service provider. You know what that's like. You're trying to answer questions from a chatbot, and it's very frustrating. We don't do that. We use AI to grab information from our database. Let's say tracking information that is relevant about that shipment. That allows our personnel to answer the questions of our customers a lot faster.
Yeah.
We're scraping emails. We have a lot of customers who are shipping inbound collect to them, and their suppliers are very small. So they don't have the technology that our shipper has, our customer has. So they want to email their orders to us. Well, we're using AI to scrape the emails from these smaller vendors, and we're auto-populating our TMS platform with information through the email. It's really fascinating. We're using a tool called Perplexity AI to allow us to be able to do that scraping activity. We're matching rates with capacity in our truckload brokerage department with Perplexity. I think AI is used correctly is something that's a very positive impact to the 3PL space.
Awesome. Yeah, it's, again, you said it earlier, but it's so important. People first, tech enabled, and really it sounds like tech has empowered your people to be even better for your customers with the tools you're using. So that's pretty
Absolutely.
What about your customers? What are their biggest challenges right now? We talked about some of the challenges as a whole, and MFC changes, and certainly theft. And there's a whole nother level of risk right now. But anything specific when you think about customer challenges right now? What's the biggest issue on their mind?
I would say that visibility is near the top. And what I mean by that is knowing where their shipments are at, proactively managing issues, avoiding issues with shipments that are critical to the nature of their operations. It sounds cliche, but the little things matter, and responsiveness matter. And we talk to some of our customers are very large Fortune 500 size corporations, and they have issues that are somewhat relatively easy to fix, but they don't have the resources to do it or the expertise to do it. And I mean, we just had this come up literally just a couple of days ago. This is a very large company that we have talked to about providing our services to, and they were struggling with one of their LTL providers misloading their shipments on the wrong trailers. And they asked us, how would you resolve that? if we were to hire Jarrett as our 3PL, how would you fix that? And that seems pretty elementary, but it actually is a real issue for them. You know, shipments that are destined for Chicago are loaded on trucks going to San Francisco. And the product that they manufacture is very time sensitive, important product. So they don't want their freight in California when it's supposed to be in Chicago. So, you know, we talked about our solution. Our solution is really about getting engaged with the terminals involved and understanding where the root causes are for the problem and then fixing the problem. It's not rocket science. It's really about having the people and then the expertise to be able to engage with the terminals at the terminal level to understand where that problem is at and how we're going to fix it in the future. And then having the right levers to pull in order to get a response, a desired response. That's one of the things that I think that a lot of our customers need. That's where a lot of shippers need help with, is having the people and the expertise and the right levers to be able to pull in order to make change happen.
Awesome. I want to shift a little bit into kind of leadership and culture and forward thinking. And I think about a time we got together and did a similar interview in person earlier this year. And there was a table of young future entrepreneurs in the corner. And I think it was great for them to hear some of your road and lessons and everything like that. So I think that was awesome. But when we're talking about leadership in 2025 and beyond, are there areas where leaders need to help solve real problems? And so we know what the challenges are today, but forward looking, as a leader in the industry, what challenges are ahead, and how can leaders today look to solve tomorrow's challenges and tomorrow's problems?
I think it's a great question. I think, there's a process called the performance pathway, and your question reminds me of the performance pathway in a lot of ways. What that says is that really performance starts with leadership. If you have great leadership, you're going to establish a great culture. A great culture then drives those behaviors that we want from our teams, and those behaviors then drive the outcomes that we want. And I think it starts with leadership. And we have at Jarrett, I created this list. It's called the 8. I'm going to make sure I say this correctly. The 8 habits of highly effective leaders at Jarrett. And I know you're a big Stephen Covey fan. It was a playoff of the 7 habits of highly effective people. I tried to narrow it down to 7, Tom, but I just couldn't. So it ended up being the 8 habits of highly effective leaders at Jarrett. And, at the top is character. I think we need to be a person of character. And my definition of character is to, be a person of values and live it out. To me, the definition of character is what is your character like when no one is looking? So that's first and foremost. To be a great leader, I think you need to have character. Number 2, you got to be hardworking. And I describe hard work as working harder than everyone else. And when I say work harder than everyone else, I don't mean if someone in your department works 41 hours, you got to work 42 to meet that criteria. That's not what I mean. What I mean by being the hardest working person is come in every day with an idea of how you're going to make an impact. What are you going to do today that's going to make a positive impact on the organization? Look for things to do that increase your impact and your value. Don't look for things to do to not increase your value. And that's what I mean by being the hardest worker. I think being a servant leader is another key component of being a leader here at Jarrett. I think being accountable, holding yourself accountable as well as others accountable. I think being intentional about living out the 4 pillars of health. There's a number, like I said, there's 8 things that we've identified as being effective leaders at Jarrett. I think it all starts with leadership. And if you have the right leaders in your organization, you can make great things happen.
That's awesome stuff. When I think about Covey, and obviously you're right, big fan, and I also think about the speed of trust. And you talked about this potential big customer and said, hey, if this happened, what would you do? Whether it's working with them or working, you said, the right levers to pull at the terminals. It's building the trust that, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's the path that we're going to take. That the confidence, the trust that somebody's going to answer the phone, the confidence and trust that someone's going to respond when someone reaches out, and different things. And it's by doing all the little things right that trust is built and relationships are formed. And obviously in supply chain and logistics, speed can be critical. And so the speed of trust becomes critically important, trusting that your partners are following their values or doing what they say they're going to do. So I think having leadership that does that, and embracing and growing more leaders that do that through your 8 core leadership things, I think that's
Well,
awesome.
Trust is one of those, Tom. And
Yeah.
I think trust is at the heart of every relationship.
Yeah,
If you don't have trust between you and your coworkers, or trust between you and your customers, it's not going to last very long. And I think that's to me, that's fundamental. That's blocking and tackling. When you have the fundamentals in place, you now have a structure where it's expected to provide world-class service to your customers. It's an expectation. It's not a wish. And I think, going back to leadership, I think we should have a mindset where success is not an option. It's an expectation. And when you do things the right way and you're a person of character, you're hardworking, then you should have that mindset. I call it the 10X rule. You establish what you think your goal should be and then multiply that by 10. When you think about it that way, you're setting the goal higher. You are elevating the bar, and you need to do that yourself. And someone else can't tell you to do that. You have to set that expectation in your own mind and then go after it, pursue it.
Awesome. I got two more questions for you as we start to wrap up. So the first one, just kind of changing gears a little bit. Talk to me about NASCAR. Jarrett's been involved with NASCAR, and I think there's some exciting things coming up with NASCAR races. So tell me, what's the most exciting thing that you're looking forward to in the world of NASCAR? And where do we stand right now?
NASCAR has been great for us. We love it. But in a lot of ways, NASCAR is a perfect analogy for 3PL, because a 3PL's job is to provide services, be responsive. Every moment matters in logistics and supply chain, and you have to be precise. Otherwise, you're not going to win the race. When you come in and you do a pit stop, that pit stop needs to be under 10 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to lose a few places in that race, and that could mean you're not going to win the race. It's the same thing in execution for your customers in supply chain. You got to move fast. I think it's a little bit ironic that the fastest pit stop in NASCAR recorded history is 8.9 seconds, and we answer the phone in 9 seconds or less for our customers. So every moment truly matters in logistics, just like it does in NASCAR. But we've been a NASCAR sponsor now for about 5 years. We sponsor Justin Allgaier's car number 7 with Xfinity. Xfinity would be the races that occur on Saturdays. The Cup Series is on Sundays. So we've continued to sponsor cars that are owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. He owns Junior Motorsports. We love that relationship we have with Junior Motorsports. Dale Jr. is amazing. His sister Kelly Earnhardt runs the organization. She's amazing. Just been a great partnership. We love to take customers and prospects to the races. We take them behind the scenes. So we take them onto the track before the race. They sit up in the pit box during the race. They say NASCAR is a sport on TV, but it's an experience when you're live and in person, and it does not disappoint.
Thanks. We talked a lot about supply chain and logistics, and I can see the analogy, but just wanted to ask something a little bit different. My final question I want to close with, again, we touched on it a little bit, but very exciting event coming up next week with the 3rd annual Jarrett Supply Chain Summit. over the years from year one, year two, and you've professed, and I believe it because I've seen who's coming, that this is going to be clearly the best one yet. What exciting conversations are you looking forward to next week? Just give me maybe your top three. I think there's going to be, through a full day of activity, there's going to be a gazillion, but what are the top three conversations that you're most excited about?
Well, I'd start with our keynote speaker. He's going to kick off the event on next Thursday, August 7th at 8:30 a.m. Zach Cass. I think he's going to talk a lot about how AI is shaping the future of business. And if you're a professional in supply chain, you want to hear what Zach's going to have to say about how AI is going to play such an important role in the future of business. We have another session I think will be really timely and very impactful, and that's on fraud and the situations we are currently dealing with in the industry. None other than our manager of claims, who's been very engaged with many of our customers and organizations. Jessie Renner is her name. She's going to be on that panel, along with a couple other experts on how shippers and 3PLs can deal with this ongoing issue with freight fraud. Lastly, we do have a panel that I'm really excited about. I'm actually on it. We have a panel of C-level folks who are engaged in the various areas of the supply chain. So we have an LTL expert, we have a truckload expert, we have a parcel expert, we have an international expert, and then a 3PL expert. And I think that's going to be a great panel. It's going to be in the ballroom. It's always a good one when we have experts from multiple areas of the supply chain. They can talk about what's going on in their respective areas. So those would be the top three that I think are can't miss for those that want to be there. I think the rest of it, there's a lot of technology discussions that will be taking place. There's so many things that we've got going on. It's jam-packed in 1 8-hour day. And I think anyone that is a supply chain professional should carve that time out and be there for it.
Yeah, I do want to point out one thing about this year's. You said the biggest and best ever, and I agree. I think it's going to be, and I would encourage people. You mentioned that particular panel is going to be in the ballroom, but for the first time ever, there's going to be multiple things happening simultaneously with a couple breakouts. So I hope, is there a couple seats left for folks that are planning to come and realize maybe I should bring somebody else from my team with me to sit in the other room and pick up the other part of conversation. Is there any room left for a couple more?
There certainly is. The event center at Kent State Stark holds 400 people. We have now a little over 300 that have signed up. We usually get a mad rush the last week. So we're anticipating another 50 to 75 to sign up. So those that have not signed up yet, go to our website. It's gojarrett.com. Click on the link for signing up for the Jarrett Supply Chain Summit, and do it right away, because we do expect for a mad rush to occur here in the next 5 to 6 days leading up to the event. And we do have a max capacity of 400. So I would, there's time still available to jump in. So I would do that.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's so true. I emceed and hosted a bunch of these things, and they always seem to, a lot of people come down to the final week, but don't get shut out. Don't wait till the last day. That wraps up this episode of the Executive Eye by DRI. Big thank you to you, Mike Jarrett, for sharing your incredible journey and insights into the evolving world of logistics, technology, leadership, people first, tech enabled. I love it. From building Jarrett into an industry leader to embracing innovation, staying ahead the curve, but staying rooted in your core values. Mike's story is a powerful example of what visionary leadership looks like in action. I've interviewed him many times. I'm sure this won't be the last time. If you enjoyed today's conversations, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share the Executive Eye wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned. We've got more inspiring leaders and powerful stories coming your way. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Executive Eye by DRI. Stay connected with us for more insights on leadership and industry trends. Follow the Executive Eye on LinkedIn or visit our website at directrecruiters.com. Until next time, keep your eye on executive leadership.